Boy, have we got a show today. Today is a clip of Vance, Vice President J.D. Vance, who's going to be talking to the media. And, he had some very good things to say to them and also re-educate them, which I guess from time to time, that's what the media needs. He's going to say, basically, he's going to be talking about reversing negative trends that they have set forth for the administration. Also, he's going to be talking about how the media is not reporting the news. And that basically President Trump said that he's doing what he said he was going to do. And in the beginning, people did not want to join the military, but now they can't wait to join. At one point, we had the most strongest military in the entire world. I didn't actually see it like that for a little bit, but, it is what it is. We're going to go from here. So without any further ado, let's get into this.
President, thank you, and thanks to the cabinet. So at the risk of insulting everybody else at the table, I believe that I'm the youngest member sitting at the table. And, it occurred to me that from the time that I was born to the time that Donald J. Trump was inaugurated just a few months ago, we went from, again, 40 years, we went from the world's manufacturing superpower to one in which we depend on the People's Republic of China to make the things that we need. We went from the proudest military in the world to one in which we failed to meet our recruiting goals. And we went from one in which bipartisan border policy was the consensus of both Democrats and Republicans to one in which we allowed 20 million people to run roughshod illegally over the countryside, causing crime, causing a stress in the welfare system. And again, that happened over the lifetime of the youngest member of the cabinet. And what has happened in 100 days is that we've started to reverse every single one of those negative trends. And I think what it shows to me is that the president, and you sit in the Oval Office and you see these portraits of presidents past. And let's be honest, most of them have been placeholders. They've been people who've allowed their staff to sign executive orders with an auto pen instead of men of action. And the reason the media attacks this administration as chaotic is because the president is solving the problems the American people set about to solve. He's actually doing the things that he promised that he would do. And Mr. President, it's been an honor to be part of it for the past 100 days. And let me just make one other observation because it's interesting. I've seen the data, I've monitored it, I've looked at it, but the most underreported fact of the first 100 days is that we came in with a massive recruitment shortfall. And in 100 days of Secretary Hegseth and President Trump's leadership, we now have people breaking down the doors to join our military. To the media assembled here, it's a really interesting question. Why has that happened? Completely aside from the fact that I think it's a good thing or I think that President Trump deserves political credit for it, why did we go from a military where people didn't want to serve to now all of a sudden they do want to serve? That's a story you guys should cover, but compared to that, how much time have you...
I wanted to comment earlier with a digital pen, but I see, that's a very interesting thing right there with this digital pen. It's mind-boggling as to what happened there. And secondly, it's sad that, Vice President JD has to ask them, why they're reporting on this. And it's so sad that that's what today's day and age has come down to, is that they would rather report on something that is not factual than to report the facts. And rather than report on stuff that would make us as citizens look good or feel good, they want to report on stuff that, again, fake news, fake drama that they had actually conjured up and they want to push out to the mass media. Okay, so let's get back to this.
You instead focused on the fact that we deported an MS-13 gang member with a valid deportation order. And why is it that the press is so focused on the fake BS rather than what's really going on in the country? I think that what we've shown, sir, is that you can do a lot. You can do a lot in 100 days, but you've also unfortunately revealed that too much of the American media hasn't learned the lessons of the past 40 years. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Well, there you go. What was your take on that? Now, I have another clip here, and this just kind of re-emphasizes what Vice President JD was talking about in reference to the media. Now, this one was a couple days old. This is when the president of El Salvador came and had a meeting with President Trump. Now, in here, you're going to see that the reporter is actually asking this president a question. My opinion is this President Bukele, if I'm saying his name right, actually ripped them a new one and put them in their place. You know, quite honestly, I'm not sure how the media is drumming up this false narrative, reporting on fake news, and then have the audacity to actually question based on the fakeness that they're doing, you know. But I'm so glad that President Trump is the way he is, because, man, I'm telling you, this guy's so quick, no one can get one in on him. But not only that, I believe that President Trump is doing an extremely great job. You know, yesterday was his first 100 days in there. Look forward to the next video that's coming out. I'm going to be doing a little reporting on that as well. So without any further ado, let's get into this.
¿Usted lo liberaría, Presidente Bukele?
Can President Bukele weigh in on this? Do you plan to return him?
Well, I'm supposed to have suggested that I smuggle a terrorist into the United States, right?
It's always
How can I smuggle? How can I return him to the United States? Like, I smuggle him into the United States, or what do I do? Of course, I'm not going to do it. It's like, I mean, the question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to it.
At this point, whoever asks that question, I think you just need to go. I think you need to just go ahead and turn in all your credentials and just give up on reporting. I don't think you should be a news reporter anymore.
Return him to the United States.
So you can release him inside El Salvador.
Yeah, but I'm not releasing. I mean, we're not very fond of releasing terrorists into our country. I mean, we just turned the murder capital of the world to the safest country in the Western Hemisphere, and you want us to go back into the releasing criminals so we can go back to being the murder capital of the world? No, that's not going to happen.
Well, they'd love to have a criminal, released into
I mean, there's a fascination.
They would love it.
Yeah.
They're sick. These are sick people. Mark, again.
Well, you know, even the president of El Salvador, you know, from the little gadget, yeah, I know how they are. You know what I mean? So it's like, at this point, everyone pretty much knows that our reporters are just reporting on fake, non-informative information. But, you know, that wraps up our show for today. Thank you for joining in with me. As usual, please, if you like the content, hit a like, subscribe, and drop a comment. And as usual, stay engaged and informed. Have a good one.